All right, welcome, revelers. This is Off the Rails, Right versus Left, the podcast that we do because we think the left is evil. I'm Rob B.
And I'm Brad Lee.
And I'm Brian G.
And we are Off the Rails, Right versus Left. Again, we're doing this show because we think everybody needs to know that the left is evil.
Classic.
Welcome to Right versus Left. We're off the rails, talking about everything that's going on in the world and how it shows that the leftists are evil. I'm Rob B. With me, as always, is
Bradley.
And our resident leftist sympathizer who still, for some reason, thinks that they're human beings. Who seems to be lost.
Fetterman.
Sorry, you're kind of frozen up there. All I could, you were just frozen. Brian G. right here, the leftist sympathizer.
So, kind of the way the show works, we're all fairly conservative in our viewpoints. Brad's a former military guy. Brian is a conservative Catholic. Unfortunately, he gives people too much credit because of that. Well, specifically, he gives leftists too much credit because of that. And I'm libertarian. When it comes to government, I'm like hyper conservative as far as what government should be involved in. And we're regular guys. We've all had jobs our whole lives. We've never been on the government dole. And we support conservative values, God, country, family, and we like to talk about the things that are, destroying the country, and they're all driven by the leftists. So anyway, so the quick hit on the news, the big thing, obviously, that's going on right now, probably the biggest story is the attack on Paul Pelosi. Okay. So the first thing I want to point out about this is, do you guys remember during the 2020 election, they had the video of supposed white supremacists supporting Donald Trump, and then it turned out that they were all part of a leftist political action committee. Like, I mean, the fact that one of them was black was like hilarious, that they were posing as white supremacists. But
are you talking about the Patriot Front?
Yeah. So that whole thing is like kind of what I think of when I look at this, because here you've got a guy, he was in the Green Party, he's a Castro supporter, and then suddenly a few months ago or 6 months ago or something like that, he suddenly starts posting, 6 months ago, the Dems knew they were in trouble. He suddenly starts posting conservative shit. And then the Dems have been promising right-wing violence over the elections, and all of a sudden he attacks Paul Pelosi. So to me, this looks like a well-coordinated false flag. Because I mean, look at all the stuff that's been going on with the guy who just got convicted for the Christmas massacre at the Christmas break. Yeah, he had all of that stuff. The New York subway shooter, he had all of his anti-white racist rhetoric. So the leftists are getting exposed by all these violent people. And then, of course, all the damage and death that was caused by the BLM riots and Antifa riots. So I think it kind of come together. And I just think this really stinks of a false flag, especially considering this is Nancy Pelosi's house, okay? And she's got some history of pulling security. She was offered the National Guard a week before the January 6th Electoral College confirmation. She declined it. The day of, she declined it. And then here at her house, she's got security, but she wasn't there. What, she pulls security when she's not there? I don't get it. Especially since there's recorded histories of there being attacks and vandalism against the house. I see no way in hell that there was no security there. So I'm thinking,
Now, whether you believe in the conspiracy theory or not.
well, I'm thinking it's a false flag to try and make Republicans look bad. At the same time, his stories about his obvious insider trading and then his DWI, like that all makes Democrats look bad. So I think he got Clinton. I think that's what this is, but they did it as a false flag operation. I wonder if we go through
Well,
Facebook.
regardless if it was a conspiracy theory or not, nobody.
Nobody what?
Did we just lose him?
No, he just got
No,
up. I
I
got
just
some.
on
I
the
got
AC.
some information on.
No, but
I got
I'm
some
just
information on this situation. Go ahead, Brian. I just
no,
wanted to say.
I'm just saying, regardless if you believe it's in the conspiracy theory or not, and I definitely think there's possibilities that end. It's a sick, disgusting thing. Nobody deserves to be attacked like that and to have to go through that. And I only pray that he does a full recovery and gets back.
Okay, so I agree with you. I don't feel bad for the guy, but I don't think he that needed to happen to him. I hope he
Yeah, I mean,
recovers.
the
But
guy suffered enough. He's married to Skeletor.
right.
Oh, I agreed.
So this is coming in from the Daily Wire. The FBI visits the Berkeley home tied to Pelosi beating suspect. Public safety and investigation reporter for NBC Bay Area, Jackson Van Derbicken, posted Friday captioning an image of the home. The Victorian is dubbed the Hippie Collective by neighbors. A sign in one of the windows reads, "Berkeley stands united against hate," and another appears to be handwritten Black Lives Matter sign. Outside the home appears to be an LGBT pride and marijuana themed American flag. NBC News reported that a man at the house visited by the FBI said that the douchebag hadn't lived there for a decade. The man also declined to speak to the agents, according to the outlet.
Funny, I didn't know they could do that. Look at Meeks.
Well,
They
why
did-
would if he hadn't lived there in over a decade, why would the FBI know to go to this house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, it's sounding like the conspiracy. How long do conspiracies last nowadays? Sometimes 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right. They had that whole thing about it was a conspiracy for that small voter thing in LA. It was a conspiracy. And then the next day, dude gets arrested. And then the same guy writes the same story talking about how that dude that worked for that company that he said the right was saying was having conspiracy theories about ended up being true.
Yeah, see, here's my thing about conspiracy theories, and now I'm like giving a lot more credence to it. Like, dude, all the stuff from oh shoot. Now I can't think of the name of it, and I just watched a show about it. Ultra
MK Ultra.
MK Ultra. Dude, like the stuff that was just released from a FOIA request about MK Ultra is insane. Like improving, like literally programming people to shoot their own best friends. Like they gave them unloaded guns, but the person just like went up and like pulled the trigger. Like absolutely insane stuff. So I wonder if this could be some MK Ultra stuff where they just programmed the guy to go do it. Like, I don't know. It's just scary the things that they were able to do. And this was back after World War II. So this is like 70 years ago they were able to do that. What are they able to do now with their technology to fine tune everything? So yeah, this whole thing just stinks to high heaven. Like, especially after the Gretchen Whitmer like entrapment plot.
Yeah.
Like, that's what this sounds like here. Is she even in danger in her seat? Like,
she's
thank you for joining the show.
she's not holding a commanding lead by any means. Let's see.
No, it was looking worse and worse for her.
Well,
yeah.
Here's what if you look at the RCP averages, a lot of the stuff that they're showing safe Democrat is only showing a 2-point spread. Dude, that's within the margin of error.
Oh, yeah.
Most
Well, and everyone is saying, and I don't disagree with this, nobody knows what the Republican numbers are because a lot of Republicans aren't talking about it.
Yeah,
And
they're having a hard.
they're not answering their phones because they see, I do the same thing. It says, number unknown. I don't answer.
Yeah.
Right.
It says Whitmer-Dixon race for governor statistically even. And like you're saying, that could be, it's definitely within the margin of error, but like you're saying, they're not, Republicans are notoriously underpolled in those surveys. And a lot of it's because Republicans just aren't talking to the pollsters.
And we have jobs. We're not sitting around for the next call to go to a rally.
Right.
You're not?
So
we're doing that.
So yeah, so I just think the whole Paul Pelosi thing, it just like seriously like reeks of a false flag operation, because we've already seen the Democrats do false flags over and over and over again. We already know that they engage in political violence. We already saw what they allegedly never mind, he committed suicide, right?
Mm-hmm. Which one?
Like that, we all know what I was talking about, but I didn't say the name and I didn't say the family that did it.
Right.
So yeah, so that's what I'm looking at on this. So what else do we have in the news?
Well, I'll bring up, because of my Chinese connections through my wife, the Canada and Netherlands are investigating allegations that the Chinese police force have opened up to 38 police stations across the world.
For what?
Places such as the Netherlands and Canada and Scotland, UK. And what it does is, what the Chinese officials say is it's for assisting their citizens to get things like passports and things like that. But what the allegations is, they're doing persuasion to return. They're getting information for the Chinese officials back in China to do persuasion of return operations on foreign soils. So it's for anything that they need to try to convince Chinese that have left China to return to China.
I think handlers for Manchurian candidates.
Yeah, any operation. It's just, to
And
me,
kind of
so many people have no problem with the way China is growing. It's like you need to bring light to some of this stuff they're doing.
Yeah, I mean, and what you left out there is that there's an office in Seattle, an office in LA, and an office in New York.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The article doesn't say anything about that, but yeah.
Well, and why does China need police forces in other countries?
To control their population of citizens in those countries, to make sure that they're doing their bidding even when abroad, and make sure that they're not.
But that shouldn't be their jurisdiction. Is all I'm saying.
Which is
the concern. They don't care,
right?
Yeah, that's the concern in like the still somewhat Democrat countries, is that these people are inserting parallel law enforcement. Some countries there's some talk that Chinese dissidents are like disappearing and turning back up in China and stuff like that. It definitely looks fishy and suspicious, and looks like a full-on infiltration operation to me. And like in our country, who knows how many Chinese operatives are coming across the southern border going, "Yo hablo español."
Oh God, everywhere, man. It's crazy. And I understood why China was doing it originally, was because they were so far behind the rest of the world that they were trying to steal information to get caught up. But still, it's stealing our technology, stealing our information.
It makes you wonder, like,
and we do it too. Sure.
It makes you wonder, like, who in these governments is tied to China to allow this to happen and say that it's okay and give them the green light to do it.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody does it even near to the same scale as China. I mean, nobody holds a candle to China when it comes to stealing information,
intellectual properties.
Yeah.
What's going on with the U.S. politics? We go from a tangerine to a vegetable in office.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Anyway,
I think he
no,
was more of an orange.
our squash
Tangerines
and
are
chief,
smaller.
yeah, our squash and chief is obviously corrupted. Uh,
By China.
yeah. We already know that Pelosi's corrupt because, yeah, she had meetings while she was over there with Taiwanese officials, and then she had a bunch of secret meetings as well. So, like, I'm guessing those are Chinese people that she was meeting with secretly, because why would they have been secret?
Right.
So,
I know
anyways, just
China's making their moves around the world, and we got to be watching it, or we're going to end up speaking Chinese Mandarin.
yeah, for
Either
sure.
that or Russian.
Yeah, I don't see Russian going anywhere. But
Yeah, I don't either.
He is probably Ruski.
yeah, Rob's in good shape. He already speaks Russian.
Shishini.
So,
I have a story.
Oh boy.
what's that?
Rob, I'm surprised you haven't heard anything about this. You're so close. You guys hear about what happened in North Korea or South Korea?
I've
What's
heard
that?
about many things, but which one are you talking about?
146 people dead and 150 injured after being crushed in large Halloween party. There
Oh
was
no, I haven't heard that.
there was a stampede, bro, in South Korea. Why do I always want to get my like Kamala Harris? North Korea, South Korea, South Korea, the freer part of Korea.
Yeah, I
There
was
was
gonna say,
they in Seoul, South Korea. There was this big Halloween bash, and because there was some celebrity was staying at a hotel there, all the people found out about it and started to run down to go to get a glimpse of this celebrity. A large Halloween celebration Saturday night in Seoul, South Korea turned into a horror show after 146 plus people were crushed to death and another 150 were injured in overly packed streets. The New York Times reported that approximately 100,000 people showed up to the event, leading to narrow streets being crammed full of people who could not move. There were so many people present that emergency workers reportedly struggled to make it to the victims and then again struggled to transport them out of the area hospitals. There were so many freaking people that had died that they had to take them to a gymnasium and wait for identification. The Washington Post reported that the U.S. military responded to the incident and was helping local authorities do crowd control. The Yonsan-gu Fire Department said that there was no gas leak or fire in the area as they continue to investigate what led them to the mass casualty event. Choi Seong-boeum, head of the fire department, told reporters that many casualties were incurred as a crowd of people fell over during Halloween parties.
that's insane.
So what I was
Dude,
what
who
I
gets
was
that
reading,
celebrities after all these celebrities were working against us during that thing that didn't happen from 2020 to 2022? Yes, that was an homage to F YouTube.
right? I'm trying to see where it says if it talks about the celebrity. It doesn't look like it. Oh yeah.
It was probably some K-pop star.
Probably. But I was reading and it came across my news feed on my phone and I saw it and I was like, oh shit. They said
Yeah,
that they were trying to see some celebrity that was staying at the Hamilton Hotel in the famous nightlife district.
well, they're gonna get to see a bigger celebrity. God Almighty.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's crazy. The biggest news of the week, though, obviously, is the kitchen sink.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Score,
Elon.
free speech. I haven't seen anything about the action on it, but Elon Musk already declared that everybody who's been banned that's not a bot is welcome back to Twitter.
Yeah.
So I'm sure the at real Donald Trump won't be back, but he's got his true social now. But
Well,
I bet he ends up back on
he'd be
Twitter.
smart to get on there just to attract the users on Twitter over to Truth Social. But I agree. He said that he's not going to, so he says that it's a much better Truth Social is a much better platform, but To me, it seems almost exactly the same, but
Oh, I bet he ends up on Twitter again.
So, well, we'll have to watch how that one plays out. But yeah, definitely a win for that. And then the sideline, the bureaucratic state going after him, trying to investigate SpaceX, his Twitter deal, all this. Suddenly, when he's switched conservative, they're concerned about the amount of power that he's building. But when he was voting liberal, they had no problem. Just like
no.
Donald Trump, when he was supporting Democrat candidates, including donating to Hillary Clinton's campaign against Obama, they didn't have a problem with him. As soon as he walked down that escalator and said he's the Republican candidate for president, or he's running for the Republican nomination for president, suddenly he's the most evil man on the planet.
I found an article on the Daily Wire. Trump answers whether he will return to Twitter with Musk at the helm. Former President Donald Trump will not return to Twitter after Elon Musk purchased the social media firm, although the former commander-in-chief wishes the world's richest man the best in his most recent venture. Musk revived efforts to purchase Twitter earlier this month, blah, 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 whatever. So, yeah, he says he's not going to, but we'll see.
Yeah, I don't believe it.
So I'm actually surprised it went through. I thought the banks were going to squash it. Making more.
Oh, you're good. Yeah.
So I totally thought the banks were going to squash it by pulling financing, but I think they couldn't find a way to get out of the contracts they had already signed.
Right. Well, he's taken it. He's taken the company back private. So
he's taking it back private. He's planning on getting rid of 75% of the workforce because, I mean, when you got the whole workforce working 4 hours a day, if that, yeah, you definitely don't need that full workforce.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he said he was going to drop 50% of employees.
Oh no, 75%.
No. He's already come out. He's already come out and said he never said 75%. And one of his insiders said when he was in the meeting, Elon actually said 50%.
Well, I heard he was going to try and get it down to 2,500, and like the current is 7,500, so that would still be like a third. So we'll see what happens.
We'll see.
But that rain's really coming down.
Yeah.
For anyone who doesn't know, Rob's in a typhoon.
Got a typhoon, and for anybody who doesn't know, in the eastern hemisphere, it's called a typhoon. In the western hemisphere, it's called a hurricane. So
you guys want to hear? Yeah, yeah. Yes.
I had to throw that one in there.
Well, good call. So CNBC thought that they were going to get a scoop on a story because, you know, like you guys were just saying that Elon Musk was going to fire 75% of the people. CNBC journalist duped by pranksters pulling internet hoax outside of Twitter's HQ. A CNBC journalist was duped by two pranksters outside of Twitter's headquarters on Friday who were posing as data engineers who had just been fired.
Yep. Yeah, I heard about that. They had sent messages to Elon asking about it, and they never got a reply. But they've heard that it's a hoax.
Well, what I thought was great was I'm subscribed on a couple of the platforms to Fox News because I like Gutfeld. I think he's hilarious.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, occasionally that means I get Tucker too. And I really don't like him. I think he's kind of a jackass.
I think you secretly love him.
And occasionally he comes up with good shit. But I saw an old interview he did from 2020. Like he had this guy on there that like I forget the guy's name, but because his name wasn't real, he started a fake website. He supposedly headed a company that didn't exist, and he was like supposedly like opposing Donald Trump. And then like on the air, he says, well, there's a lot of people like protesting this and we're against the mainstream. So we're switching our support to Trump. And then like it was so funny the minute Tucker realized the whole thing was like a con to humiliate the press was freaking hilarious. But of course, the story disappeared immediately afterwards. So, but yeah, that was funny. That was like an ultimate troll. And like even Tucker had him on the show and didn't realize it until he was talking to the guy. Like he knew the guy was a fraud, but until he had him on the show, he didn't even realize that he was like trolling the media. Like that was his whole point. And like Tucker was like full on going after the guy, and then you could see the realization set in on Tucker, and he just like, oh my god, this is hilarious. Like, oh, it was awesome. But yeah, just crazy. I don't know. there's people doing weird stuff out there. Anyway, anything else in the news?
Nothing that jumps out at me.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with the news because 75% of the news is still controlled by the left.
The evildoers.
Yeah,
Yes, evildoers. Dark,
but I do like how what's her name in Kate down there in Arizona.
Carrie Lake.
Carrie Lake, that's it. Carrie Lake, not Kate Lake.
Kate Hobbs and Carrie Lake.
Yeah, I love how Carrie Lake keeps trolling the media because she was one.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love it. I love it.
She's gonna win that fucking race. It's so easily.
Mm.
They're talking about Oregon's gonna go red.
Yeah. Yep. And several places here in Washington might too.
That's sad that Seattle controls that fucking demographic.
Yeah.
So all right, so let's jump into our topic for the show today. We're gonna talk a little bit about safe spaces and the wimping of our kids in our society. So I think it's an interesting point on this. In like his latest rants, Putin is talking about stuff like transing the kids and basically all the crap that leftists are doing in this country as signs of how corrupt the West is. I find it interesting, but that includes like safe spaces because like I don't know, when we were kids it was, you know, sticks and stones may break my bones but words will never hurt me.
Amen.
And now it's like words are violence.
Oh no, what's even worse is silence is violence. So
Yeah.
words are violence and silence is violence. So what do? You're caught in between a rock and a hard space.
So like the whole phenomenon is kind of morphed. Like it started with like anti-bullying campaigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which bullying is bad and it can get really severe. But I'm sorry, everybody dealt with bullying. Everybody at some point. Like even the popular kids were at some point bullied for being nothing but popular. You know what I mean? Like they had nothing else to offer the world. And people saw through that. And so at some point they get bullied for that. So everybody experiences bullying. And what that does is make you tougher and stronger because you face adversity. Because when you go out into the real world, there are no safe spaces.
No, there's not. And that's the problem.
So
kids are not being prepared for the real world. And then that's where depression and anxiety and suicidal tendency comes in because they've been coddled for their whole life, all the way up until it was time for them to go out into the real world. And then you got a bunch of pansies trying to adult. I'm adulting because I'm paying my bills.
Yeah, most of them aren't paying their bills, like maybe paying their car insurance and their gas while they live in their parents' basements.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the whole safe space things. Well, first of all, like where does all this start? Safe spaces is in the schools. Well, the more safe they make schools, the more atrocious the violence in schools. Peer on peer violence is up. Shootings are up. And along with that, the school shootings. I just find it really funny that all of these school shootings are conducted by losers that don't have jobs, don't have sources of incomes, yet they suddenly can afford to buy thousands of dollars worth of guns and ammunition right before they go and do these shootings.
Careful, don't call him a false flag, Alex.
I didn't call him anything. I'm just saying, hey, I didn't say it was false flag. I'm saying somebody.
No, I know what you're saying. It doesn't make sense. How does a kid who works at Wendy's end up with two of the most expensive Daniel Defense ARs in the country? How does he end up with that? They're $2,500 a piece, and he had two of them, and he was driving a brand new Ford pickup. Now, from the stories that I heard, that pickup wasn't his; it was his grandma's or some BS like that. But still, he was working a part-time job at Wendy's. You telling me that he saved up for this? Obviously, we're talking about the Uvalde shooter.
Yeah, and it's in Texas where the minimum wage is $7.25. So at best, he was making $9 an hour.
Right.
Yeah. He wasn't of working age long enough to have put aside $5,000 to buy just guns, not counting the ammunition. You guys notice how
the police knew about this kid too. I mean, the kid was posting on Facebook of him with clear plastic bags with dead cats in it. I mean, this kid was a freak, just like the shooter up in Buffalo. Same thing there. And an ex-FBI agent was talking to this kid at the time. It's like, dude, no. And you know what's even more funny is St. Louis. Just recently, there was a school shooting. You haven't heard about it, have you?
No, why? Was the perpetrator black?
Yes.
There you go.
And that's exactly why you haven't heard about it. It wasn't news. It didn't fit the narrative. Bunch of bullshit.
I'll point something out. Remember the DC sniper?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you notice as soon as they arrested him and realized that it was two black men, the story disappeared quicker than snot.
A black man and his son, yeah.
Well, how often did Obama come out and say, claim something was racist before he knew any facts of what actually happened? And then a day later it comes out, well, it had nothing to do with racism at all, or it had nothing to do with the right. But yet he threw it out there. So the argument's out there that, oh, the right is racist and it was a racist hit by police. And I mean, this is really where the division really kicked in.
And the news never retracts. If they do, it's on page 5,000.
And they want to say that the right is violent. That's their whole end game, is to try and convince the world that the right is violent.
Yeah, and then you look at what's going on with our strongest adversaries in the world, and they're trying to make their kids tougher. They're like baptizing them by fire. They're like, you know what I mean? They're like, and in our country, we're doing everything we can to sissified the kids to avoid conflict. And the only way, and it's funny, like the anti-bullying campaign has turned into a pro-bullying campaign, where you give the kids the safe spaces to plot against people that think differently. But if kids that have been brainwashed with liberal ideas are attacking a conservative kid, it's okay. Like the kids getting attacked for wearing MAGA hats or wearing USA shirts and stuff like that. So here's what I wonder. How did they turn the safe spaces into basically indoctrination camps to make these kids into violent little peckerheads when they graduate high school and don't have a job? Like, how is that working? Because that's exactly what it seems like it happens. Because they hide in their safe spaces. And then, like, literally, I mean, you look at you played that video on the show on Wednesday of the guy getting spit on. Oh, Caitlin Bennett. That was the girl I was trying to think of when we were talking about the show. Gun girl, Caitlin Bennett. like, yeah, she used to get like attacked and all that stuff just for walking around on campus. She started out that she was open carrying. That's why she got the moniker Gun Girl. But
Oh,
I don't know that.
is that that blonde girl that does a bunch of videos on the beach asking people questions?
Yeah, she used
Yeah.
to, but I like 2 years.
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a while.
I know she got married, but since she got married, like she stopped. But the weird thing is, she got married to the guy who did the show before she even ended up on it. Liberty something,
Yeah.
Liberty. So, but I noticed she just like disappeared. I know her Facebook got canceled, or not her Facebook, her YouTube got canceled. But then like her videos just stopped.
Well,
So it was kind
she might have got pregnant.
oh, I know she got pregnant. She had a baby.
Well, that's probably why she stopped, because she wants to stay home and take care of her baby.
Yeah, more power to her.
Because
But
she's totally down like that. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and take care of her husband. Like, she was getting shit because she was making sandwiches for her husband when he was going to work. Or
yeah,
that she was making him dinner and she was posting it, and they were giving her shit for being a, a stereotypical woman and putting off a negative stereotype for women. And I'm like, how is that a negative stereotype?
yeah, yeah. Again, like flipping everything around in youth. But these are all kids that just graduated high school. They get to college and they're actively violent against opposing voices.
Right.
I mean, I saw episodes of her broadcast where she had like hot coffee thrown at her, like just like yeah, just ridiculous. And then like, I mean, again, I think Milo Yiannopoulos is like scum, but how many times were his talks like shut down because of violent opposition? And it's like, how do they come out of these safe spaces violent? So obviously these spaces aren't too safe.
Right.
And they're kind of like really just so the people that are like seeking the safe spaces, they're all like-minded. So I think they become like toxic breeding grounds for this like virus that's invading our society. And I think that's by design.
Well, okay. Remember when we were growing up, and if we slacked off in school or we were getting bad grades and you had to go and see the guidance counselor, and the guidance counselor was like, I don't want to see your fucking bare legs, Rob. You're never going to amount to anything. Do you remember that? Like,
Yeah.
obviously I threw that in there because you were fucking showing everybody your fucking scandalous legs, but no, but they were, they would say,
Right.
your guidance counselor, if you were slacking off in school, they would tell you, you know, you're not going to amount to anything. How are you going to get a job if you don't succeed in school? You're not going to amount to shit. And you're like, well, to me, it made me want to go out and get a job just to rub it in their face. Whatever happened to that? And nowadays, we also have kids that have no motivation, like you said, to get out of their parents' house and live on their own and take care of themselves. They think that everything's owed to them. And, you know, I didn't ask to be born. That excuse just blows me away. It just makes me want to punch a kid right in the face.
So and like and how ridiculously cruel like kids can be. I mean, um it's crazy. Like, I mean, I dealt with my daughter when she was 11 with suicide attempts. Now she's almost 18 and dealing with eating disorders. And like, it's just insane. Like, she put on a little weight because she got off of all this vegan, unhealthy bullshit. And then people were ridiculing her for her weight, and she ends up being anorexic. You know, and she's going to school up in Washington, so I didn't see her enough. And like, when I finally did, I'm just like, this is insane. Like, she is looking healthier now. She went and did a stay-in program at a eating disorder clinic, and like, she's recovering now. But like, that's safe spaces, but there are no safe spaces anymore. Like, we need to teach kids how to be human beings, because as soon as they get home from school in their safe spaces, they're on social media just destroying each other.
Which my kids don't have social media, and I don't think I'm gonna let them until they're like 18. Not that I have complete control over it, but it's terrible, terrible stuff. I mean, I have control whether or not they get on a computer or whether or not they have a phone. And to be honest with you, when they're old enough to be able to have a phone, it's going to be one of those flip phones, no internet access. They're not going to have a smartphone. I don't believe in that at all. The only reason they need to have a phone is so that they can contact me or their mother, or so that me and their mother can contact them. That's the only reason children.
You're saying while they're still living under your roof, they'll never have a smartphone?
Yeah, I don't, because I don't want them to go through that crap.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to have to be forced to moderate that stuff. Who has time for that?
Yeah, no doubt. So, yeah, my kids, they had smartphones, they had iPhones, but like real quick, I had to put monitoring software on there because, of course, kids always push.
Like, I had my daughter, she had like a YouTube channel, and she would like be taking videos, and she was actually getting pretty good views on her little short clips that she was posting.
Probably
And,
better be
one time because we would go through and look at her videos, and some of them were really cute, and she'd be like playing with her toys, and nobody had any inappropriate comments on there. But one time she was standing there in her bra talking to him. I mean, she's 10 years old, bro. I'm like, we saw that and we're like, nope. Instantly took because we gave them our old phones when we got new ones. We gave them our old ones because they'd still connect to the Wi-Fi. And she liked making YouTube videos. Well, then she did that. We're like, no, that's not good. You can't be taking videos of yourself standing there in your bra or naked. That's no. So we just cut it off, nipped it in the bud, and took the smartphones and put them away.
So would you agree that the so-called safe spaces have just become echo chambers for bad leftist ideology, and then like they come out and they get on their social media, and then they're exposed to all kinds of hostility, which kind of radicalizes them?
Oh yeah, exactly. And what they're trying to teach in public schools nowadays is, luckily so far from what I've seen, it hasn't gotten into the Tarrant County schools, because the Tarrant County School Board all just got reelected and conservatives were put in on the Tarrant County School Board, or the Keller ISD School Board. So
Got you.
And to top it all off, when I first bought my first copy of Johnny the Walrus by Matt Walsh,
go Johnny.
I read it to my daughter because she wanted me to read it as soon as I got it, because she was like super excited. And of course she got the premise, the imagination is cool, but you can pretend to be something that you're not, but you can't be what you pretend that you're being. That's just not going to happen. And she knew that boys can't be girls and girls can't be boys, and boys are boys and girls are girls. There's a binary in sex. And so she got that. But anyways, she automatically confiscated that book from me, which is why I ended up having to buy 3 copies. Well, I didn't have to buy 3 copies. I bought another copy because she took that copy and she ended up taking it to school, and I got no backlash from it. Everybody at the school liked the book, and the teachers didn't say anything about it or complain. So that was cool. So she confiscated that book from me. So I bought another one. And then the day after I bought that one, I found out Matt Walsh was signing Johnny the Walrus books and selling them. Well, they were giving them away to the people because he was on the comments section with Brett Cooper, and he was talking to her while he was signing all the books. And people that were signing up for the Daily Wire were getting a free signed copy of Johnny the Walrus. And so I went on to the Daily Wire shop and saw that they were selling the signed copies. And this was like back in March. I didn't get my signed copy until late to mid-August. So it took me a while, and they're like, "Oh, we're having a hard time getting Matt to sign it." But anyways, so 2 days ago they were having like a costume type deal at school, and they were to dress up as their favorite storybook character. And my wife calls me, she's like, the day before, she calls me, she's like, crap, what am I gonna do? I don't know. I'm gonna have to go buy these costumes. I'm like, dude, just get her some wooden spoons and some socks for for fins. And she's like, what are you talking about? Like Johnny the Walrus. She's like, oh my god, I didn't even think of that. So we sent her to school with Johnny the Walrus, and with we couldn't find any wooden spoons, so we used wooden chopsticks, and went out and bought some socks for her to put on her hands, and it was great. And didn't get any backlash from that either. So luckily, the Keller ISD is not super leftist, because I imagine if they were, I would have heard something about it.
Yeah. Hey, let's take a quick break in the conversation real quick. Just remind everybody, hit subscribe. We need subscribers. And make sure that you know when we're posting stuff. There's going to be a little delay between us recording and posting, so the schedule might be a little off. We just got Scylla, who's our new podcast manager. She's going to be working the videos, and she's a lot better and more professional at it, so it takes a little more time. But make sure you subscribe, turn on the notifications. We're going to be doing some topics we can't do on YouTube, so make sure that you go over to Rumble. I'm Robbie Brown on there, but you should be able to. I'm making sure that they're tagged off the rails, right versus left, so you should be able to find us. So make sure you look there. Whenever we post Rumble only content, I'm going to put up a video with a link so you can find us. So even if it's on YouTube, make sure you subscribe so you can find out when we're posting over there. We're also converting all the older shows from when we were just on Spotify. We're getting them posted on YouTube and Rumble also, so you guys can check out all of our content. Make sure to keep listening. I do also, we've always said that we're going to be about engagement. So I want to cover some of our comments that our viewers have been putting up. So let's go back to the episode with the BLM. It was for the watch party for the greatest lie ever sold. Candace Owens exploiting a dead person for her own political gains. Disgusting. That's what the commenter put. It's Rex. So my response to that was, like, seriously, this exposes Kohler's exploiting his death to the tune of 80 million. 0 went to black people. A nice 8 million went to transgenders, though, and a whole lot of real estate. You should watch and not just comment on what you don't know about. For example, Floyd's unpaid rent was not paid by BLM. It was paid by Candace. And he responded to that. Candace is serving herself. One should ask the question, what is the purpose of the documentary? So an organization screwed people over based upon emotion. No shit, Sherlock. This happens every freaking day. And it's up to the givers to be aware of any organization before giving. This is not anything new. She is an ardent Trump supporter. Look at how many businesses Trump had that screwed people over. Funny how it like flips to Trump when BLM had nothing to do with Trump.
And Candace didn't do the video for Trump. It was to let people know how BLM was, how we were lied to by the use of a black man's death while in police custody. Had nothing to do with Trump.
Dude, this dude wrote a Bible. The fictitious organization versus people white to demonstrate in light of injustice are two separate things. There will always be injustice when it comes to the color barrier, and black people will continue to protest if felt unfairly dealt. Candace doesn't believe racism exists and strategically uses her own people's struggles to get ahead. I haven't heard about Blexit helping anyone in the black communities yet. She received donations for her organization. She was asked I literally just gave an example of Candace helping black people.
Right. But that wasn't her organization. It was her own personal funding.
Yeah, any idiot would not put George Floyd as a hero. It's not about the man, it's about a symbol. When we look at pictures of our black sisters and brothers being hung back in the days, so now we're back to like blaming shit that happened 100 years ago. It's not about George Floyd. Yes, even her who conveniently won a case in the past by crying racism, it benefits her back then, but she now casts a blind eye to anyone black under the similar circumstances. Hypocrisy at its best. I have no problem if a person is a Democrat or, in her case, a Trump-loving Republican. What is wrong here is that she is systematically using BLM to play on black people's emotions for her own political games. I will point out she is not a politician. So
well, did she also the NCAA, which in that case actually was, there was racism involved in that case. I know what they're talking about. They're talking about what happened when she was in high school and a kid said some messed up stuff. But the NCAA or whatever it was that helped her used her to make money.
Dude, this guy just goes on and on. What's wrong here is that she is systematically using BLM, blah, blah, blah. The greatest lie ever told was her president telling the American people the election was stolen, thereby threatening the democracy of our beloved country. Democrats have rejected every election since like 2012.
Before that, they said President Bush was selected.
Yeah, and all the was the like sixth recount was ordered to stop because it was time to certify the election.
And he only wanted to recount certain counties in Florida. He didn't want to do a whole recount of Florida. Al Gore is a fucking idiot, and he still is to this day.
Hanging chads.
I mean, the beach lines are still the same as they were back when he was saying that they were going to flood and Florida was no longer going to be there anymore.
Yeah, there's a reason why the documentary was released a few weeks before the elections. It's all political swing. BLM and George Floyd are just a smokescreen. She's basically picking the lowest fruits in black culture to further her agenda. That's why she is hated by many, and ironically is also not accepted as a token black in the Republican Party. That one I'm going to reject out of hand. Anybody who supports conservative values is accepted in the Republican Party. Anybody. Like, it's bullshit to say that she's not accepted.
Yes.
It's the Democrats that sit there and attack people for being black and having conservative values because they're supposedly against black ideals. Black people, you've been in the Democratic camp for 100 freaking years, and it's done nothing for you. Every problem that you have now has happened under Democrat leadership. So if you don't see that, that's anyway. So
if you don't see that, you need to go back to the confirmation of Justice Clarence Thomas and listen to what your stupid president now had to say about him, which wasn't too colorful, if you ask me.
Okay, so here again is I said he needs to watch the whole documentary. It was my reply to that. 3 days ago, he posted again. As I mentioned in an earlier post, no shit, Sherlock. Excuse my expression. An organization ripping people off for their own benefit doesn't have anything to do with the left or right. Candace is making a political issue under disguise. Candace is skillfully using black people's struggles to benefit her cause. Her cause is freeing black people from the Democrat oppression. BLM as an organization is totally separate from black people expressing their emotion. It's unfairly dealt with. Okay, it's all about a lie. If you ask the average Democrat how many black people, unarmed black people, are killed a year, the average answer is 1,500 black people a year being killed by police. The actual number is 9 or less every year, except for 1 year there was 12. And in 3 of those cases, they had an object in their hand in a bad lighting situation where it could have been a weapon. Anyways.
And turns out that more unarmed white people are being shot by police than unarmed black people.
Well, no, I'm just saying the perspective on there. Yeah, they think it's 1,500. Yeah. It's not.
But it's exponentially higher for the other way around. But no,
say that. Every time you talk to one of them, they're thousands. Thousands.
I just don't want to take it off of what he's talking about, which is what's happening to black people. And the point is, the narrative of what's happening to black people is a lie.
Yeah. Just like the whole George Floyd thing was a lie.
So here he says blacks didn't support the movement financially. Okay, I can think of a lot of black celebrities that supported it, including Beyonce, John Legend, Oprah Winfrey. I'm sorry, those are all black people. Are you saying because they're successful, they're not black anymore? Because that does seem to be something the left argues.
Chrissy Teigen.
Yeah, I mean, so yeah, obviously, blacks didn't support the movement financially. If you can show or prove one black person who gave this organization, also prove that millions came from black people. So again, this is like racist. He only cares if it happened to black people, but it did. Black people were scammed too. Everybody was scammed. This money came mostly from whites who gave for the cause. Whites supported financially, while blacks supported emotionally, which also reflects the polls, which angers the right wingers. Therefore, Kundis.
Wow.
Jeez,
Blatant
this guy is one
racism right
racist.
there.
Kundis literally said Kundis.
POS. He's
The
one
Kundis,
racist POS. Jeez.
but plain emotions of blacks for political gain, nothing less. Evil is defined by party, but by individual who displays it. Yeah, this dude's displayed his racism blatantly. And by chance, you are looking for evil, then you don't have to look across the party to see it in your leaders. If you seriously one-on-one talk to me, then reach out. You can invite Candace. Hey, dude, I gave you the email address where you can reach us. I invited you to come on the show. If you don't like the 3 people format and you want to do a show one-on-one, I'm with it. I will debate you on the facts. I will debate you on what Democrats have been doing to black people. It's very personal to me. Like me, yeah, no, it's all a joke. No, absolutely. I have no way to reach out to you directly. I gave you a way to reach out to me. My bell box is still empty. So reach out. If you want to come on the show, we'll do a one-on-one show. I'm sure the guys wouldn't mind sitting out an episode just so we can sit and talk. Like, it's not a problem. So anyway, so that was the big one. Yeah. This guy, like, I don't even get what he was talking about. He said the only thing that we had to add to the topic was he looked like a skinhead. Like, that was also for the greatest lie ever sold. I think we had a lot to say during that show and after that show. Somebody else said, thanks, guys. How do we send a donation? That's why I put the link to our Spotify support us on all of our videos now. So if you guys back us up, you can. We're working on finding sponsorships and affiliate links so we can like continue improving the program. On the death of feminism. Now, this is funny. So the death of feminism is currently riding at our second most popular video, like even better than our second watch party. So our watch parties were the most popular episodes, but death of feminism is climbing quick. But the only person to comment on it, imagine being 50 years old complaining about people wanting equity. Please get a life, like cry. I think you guys would agree with that equity is the ultimate unfair. Not everyone puts in the same effort to get the same result. That is stealing from people who work to give to people that don't. The goal of equity, the goal is equality of opportunity, not equity. And I'm not sure where you think we suggested any unfair outcomes, because we didn't. I'm pretty sure we didn't mention equity anywhere in the show. The closest we came to commenting on is when we were talking about the fake gender pay gap. Oh, I had a typo in here, so I'm not sure what I like. So show when you, so it shows when you take into account men doing different tasks, even with the same title. Same people doing the same task, women actually make more. So unless you're saying we should pay those women who negotiated themselves into a better position less in the name of equity, you're going to have to come up with something better to back up your boy. And then the last one was on the fentanyl epidemic. It was an audio only episode. The guy says, I respect your right to have an opinion, but Rear Admiral Christopher Tomey, who at the time was director of the Joint Interagency Task Force for the U.S. Coast Guard, said in 2015. Now, again, this is 7 years ago before what we have going on. In the early days of this task force, we've been around for 26 years and we saw a much higher movement. He made this comment like in the early days, like right after he joined, like that's okay. Anyways, and we've been around for 26 years. We saw much higher movement using non-commercial aircraft to fly drugs northwards. Well over 95% of the drugs are moving on the water, being container ships, non-commercial vessels, pleasure boats, sailboats, and fishing boats. A wall's not going to stop that. My reply that I put on there, maybe you guys agree or you disagree. That was in 2015. We've never had 200,000 apprehensions and probably 200,000 non-apprehensions per month in a year before, and we've had that 2 years in a row now. The amount of drugs is approximately 200 times that of what it was in 2015, and mostly the more potent fentanyl.
Well, and the whole point, like you and I have talked about, is so just because the drugs are coming one way, you ignore another way. So we shouldn't build a wall. We shouldn't try to secure the border because they're gonna ship it another way once you close that down.
Yeah, I wanted you to respond to that one because that was on your rant that they responded.
I know it's insane. So ignore everything else because in 2015 this is how most of it was coming across. So we should ignore everything else and just let them continue.
Yeah. So instead of getting that amount, that one amount, we're getting double that just by land. Plus, they're still doing it through the sea. They're not going to, and they're doing it by air too, I'm sure.
Which
so what?
They are still doing it by sea. They're still doing it by air, but I guarantee that a huge portion of those are now coming across the border by land.
Oh, absolutely.
With 2,256,000 people, illegally that we know of have officially come across just this year. I guarantee they're using those huge groups to send drugs and people through, and then as soon as they're across the border, they split off and go their own direction and let Border Patrol take care of the large group.
And that's only the amount that we know of.
Yeah. So let's ignore this and because it makes no sense because they're sending it by sea and air, so let's ignore the land. To me, it's crazy. It is absolutely crazy. So why not try to shut down the sea and the air? I agree, but also secure the freaking border so they can't send it that way either.
Exactly.
Anyway,
these people, man.
Yeah. So
I can't believe that one guy and his racist comment. Holy crap.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah, wow. But the right is the racist. The right is the racist, not the left. So take it easy there, Brad. If you're calling the left racist, just be careful there because we are the racists.
No, I'm saying I don't understand how you can have any sympathy for these people. Jeez, Brian.
Yeah, Brian still thinks they're human. Maybe someday we'll win them over.
Yeah. Just because there's a bunch of idiots doesn't mean all of them are.
We don't have apparently.
Yeah, so that was all the comments off of YouTube. We haven't had any voice messages. Well, we had one weird voice message on Spotify. So
okay. Well, that's good. I encourage you guys to keep. Just because we don't like your comments, don't mean that we don't want you to comment.
It was pervy heavy breathing.
Okay.
It was probably your lady boy that was supposed to come on.
Oh Jesus. Anyways,
Rob.
there hasn't been any comments, but hey guys, make sure you comment. We're gonna engage with you. We'll engage with you on the post. And again, if anybody disagrees with us, you're welcome to come on the show. If you feel like you'd be ganged up on, like we wouldn't do it, but if you feel, we beat each other up on disagreements sometimes. But if you feel that you'd be outnumbered doing 3-on-1, you can pick which one of the 3 co-hosts you'd like to sit down and talk with, and we'll do that live on the air. Maybe if it's 1-on-1, we can do a live stream on it. But we welcome anybody to come on and talk about anything that you want to talk about. And we hope. I don't care what your views are. When we get into it, I just don't see if you get into the actual facts how you can actually support leftism. I can kind of I get Brian's perspective that he thinks most of the people that support the left or that support Democrats are well-intending people and they just fall for the talking points.
Well, they don't learn the facts. They see this feels good. It feels like it's right, and they just go with it.
Yeah, but I just don't buy that. You look at California, you look at Oregon, at Washington. You look at both left coasts. Funny, we have 2 left coasts. But you look at the two left coasts, and these people continue to vote Democrat, despite the fact Democrats have been in control forever and destroying their lives. And like, I just don't think common sense like is in play there. And yeah. Anyway,
Well,
so
here's the problem with us being able to get leftists to come on and debate us. They're so used to being in their safe spaces that they're afraid to come out because they're afraid that they'll get beat up and that they can't handle their own. That's what I think. That's what I think it boils down to. Y'all are too comforted in your safe little echo chamber to come out and talk to us. So
yeah,
we're here. We're willing. We're not going to beat you up. You might get a little butt hurt, but you might want to put on some alligator skin and come on and debate us. Talk with us. Who knows? Maybe you can change our mind. Maybe we'll change your mind. Probably not either way, but
I even tried to get a leftist politician to come on the show over here for just like 30 minutes just to talk with us about a different perspective from a different country. And like, hard duck, can't find 30 minutes.
It's too bad.
Yeah,
Even 15 minutes.
She can run up to a community in Baguio where it's a little bit cooler, so she can stop sweating for a little bit. But she ducks 30 minutes by Zoom with us. So we're gonna keep working on it. We want you guys on the show. Anyway, so the safe spaces. Do you guys remember when all of the safe space garbage started? It was after Columbine.
Yeah.
And it was supposedly going to stop school violence because it was going to stop bullying. Have you guys noticed that school violence has gotten worse? The shootings have gotten worse and more frequent since we started instituting safe spaces. What is it about Democrats that when they install their bad ideas and the results are horrible, they're incapable of changing directions? The last liberal, the last progressive, the last leftist that shifted gears was Clinton after he got shellacked in his midterms.
Right.
I can't think of another one since then. Like Stacey Abrams still says day that 2018 was stolen.
Right. Well, no, she's trying to walk that back and say that she never said that. Even though it's all over the video is everywhere.
But she repeated it for a private fundraiser like 3 months ago, so she can walk back once. She's still saying it.
Oh yeah. I'm not saying that she's not a liar, but well, no, you got Tulsi Gabbard. She's figured it out.
Yeah, go Tulsi.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Welcome to the middle lane.
I was just laughing because Elon posted, finally, the truth that carbs are amazing can be said on this platform.
What?
That carbs are amazing can be said on this platform.
Dude, did you see his post yesterday? The bird is free.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm gonna start sharing our links.
I just got onto Twitter, so I hadn't seen it yet.
I haven't posted on Twitter in years. Like, sharing one of our shows was the first Twitter post that I've made in years. So now that Elon Musk is in control, I'll start sharing our content on there.
I'm not even on Twitter, so
yeah. So back to the safe spaces. It's like every other like leftist idea. It doesn't work. Like it's counter to the problem. And it's actually their denial of personal responsibility is the problem. Like, in every single thing, they deny responsibility. It's not the criminal's responsibility that they committed the crime. They're a victim of their circumstance. It's not the shooters were sick individuals that are going to do sick and evil stuff. I mean, we had most of the 20th century between the Rwanda genocide, the Nazis, what the communist governments did. Like, human beings are capable of atrocious things. These can't just be atrocious human beings doing atrocious things. We have to take the responsibility away from them and make it society's fault. No, you are responsible for your own stuff. And that's what safe spaces do, is it takes away responsibility from the people that are actually committing these horrific acts, instead of calling these people evil people, horribly sick people. If you want to sympathize with them and say they're mentally ill, okay, they're mentally ill, but we still have to address that they're mentally ill. Like, I think the left can't face it because the entire left is mentally ill.
And holding office.
Yeah. So,
But and here's another thing about, you know, the left and their stupidity, because they are stupid. They only have they act like World War II is the only war where people were oppressed. Like nobody ever brings up, you know, what Mao did or what Che Guevara did or all these other communist rainy Stalin. It's always the Nazis. It's always they always go to the Nazis. They can't compare anything else to anything but Nazis. You
yeah,
know, and what's funny is, you know what's
oh,
funny is Adidas dropped Kanye because they said that his rhetoric was anti-Semitic when Adidas was founded by a company that supported Nazi Germany.
yeah. So, well, and here's what's funny, that they like vilified the Nazis. Like the word Nazi was a clever play that some reporter came up with when they were talking about the Nazis, which was the National Socialists, which is what Nazis were. They were National Socialists.
Yeah.
That's left.
Yeah, way left.
So then they rename them Nazis and say that they're far right. That's not far right. That's far left. Like Nazis believe in complete control of the private industry. The only difference between Nazism or National Socialism and regular socialism is regular socialism. Everything is directly under the ownership of the means of production is owned by the government, and the under National Socialism, the companies are still private, but they have to do what the government says. Ownership is the only difference.
That sounds a lot like what Twitter used to be.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like everything's we've got Nazism like pervading in the US because the socialists are in control of most of the bureaucracies. Look at what they did to Facebook with the Hunter Biden story and Twitter and everybody else. Right? So that's exactly what the Nazis did. They went and threatened the companies and forced them to do their bidding. And in Nazi Germany, they started with the press. And what were the Nazis' main talking points? Okay, the industry has to do what we say. We need to disarm the population unless they're military or our police. If people say something we don't like, we're going to send out our brown shirted thugs, Antifa, BLM, and silence them. Like, yeah, Nazis are alive and well in our country. It's called the Democrat Party.
On the left.
So, and the safe spaces, like it's all the same thing. It's bad groupthink. It isolates the individuals even further instead of engaging in a difference of opinion and the struggles that build character. And that's the thing. Struggle builds character. And these kids are coming out of high school and college with no personal character because they haven't been through anything, because they've been protected in their safe spaces. So when they get out into the real world and go, oh my God, there's an opposing viewpoint, get it, and they don't know how to like rationalize. They don't know how to unemotionalize because they never got the emotional development that comes from conflict. Like everything in our life where we improve comes from facing adversity, whether that be on an emotional level, a professional level, a competitive level in athletics, and even games, because some of the stuff we call sports I don't consider games. But like, I mean, you look at like even chess, like the people that like continue to get better and better, they get better and better by playing people better than and observing what they do. Like everything that you get better at in life, you get better at by facing adversity. If you don't face adversity, you never grow as a person, you never grow as an individual. And if we don't, like in our country right now, we're facing on a whole the greatest adversity that our country's ever faced on so many levels. Like the funny thing is, like, what was it, like 90% of the country thinks that mainstream media is the biggest threat to democracy? Well, that's absolutely right, because every socialist government, national socialist government, every dictatorship, the first thing they did is take over the press.
Right.
And everybody on both sides that the press is controlled by one side, and they see that as a threat to democracy. Then you get to where the actual elections are. I think this is funny. The only thing that the left like attacks about what the conservatives want to do about elections is simply identification, to make sure if you're voting, you have a right to a vote, and that you go and vote so nobody can steal your ballot and vote for you. And yet the Democrats have a problem with that.
Yeah, they
And
do.
yet,
And they still do. And the voter turnout is increasing exponentially. And they're still saying that
it suppresses the vote.
causation doesn't equal correlation doesn't equal causation. So like, so because more people are coming out to vote doesn't mean that voter suppression is not happening, which you would think if voter suppression was happening, and they can't point to anyone who was not even a black person who was denied their right to vote. They can't do that. And they want to say that black people and brown people and poor people are the most disadvantaged to these election integrity laws. So they're saying that these people don't know how to go out and get an ID. And in some of these places, you can get a state ID for free. You mean to tell me they can't find a DMV or a place where they can get an ID? And it's stupid because Stacey Abrams said that just because more people are coming out to vote doesn't mean that voter suppression isn't happening. That's like saying that when you go out into the ocean to swim, that there are less sharks in the water because more people are getting in the water. I'm like, that is just a stupid comparison. And another problem is that we're teaching our kids that participation is as good as winning. We're teaching our kids not to lose. Okay. So like, it's okay to lose. You need to lose because when you lose, you feel like a failure, which instills the drive into you to become better. So you practice harder, like you were saying with the chess analogy. They play people better than them so that they lose, so that they can learn from their loss and become stronger and better as they go, which is what happens just in life in general. You make mistakes and you learn from your mistakes. So if we're teaching our children that, oh, you're still good because you lost. No, you lost. What are you going to do to fix that problem? You know why he beat you? Because he's better than you. Do you know why he's better than you? Because he practiced more than you.
Well, you learn more from loss and failure than you do from success.
Right. Well, the guy who invented the light bulb, what did he say? It took him 100 tries before he.
I think it was more than that.
Like, oh yeah, no, whatever. It was like 1,000 tries for him to find out how to make a light bulb. They said, how come you? Why did you keep going when you failed so many times? He said, I didn't fail. I just found 999 ways not to make a light bulb.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's pretty good. And Dan Bongino also has a good saying that bad times make strong men, and strong men make good times.
So who invented the light bulb?
Edison?
Wrong.
Well, he's known for it, but yes, he wasn't the one who actually created it.
No, he's not.
Okay.
The light bulb was actually created in Europe. Edison improved upon it, and like his researcher that they try and flip the credit to, that developed a better let's see, where was it?
Incandescent light bulb inventors: Thomas Edison, Joseph Swan, James Bowman Lindsay, Alexander Lodygin. It's so from
Edison gets most of the credit, but he's not the one who created it.
Bulbs.com says Thomas Edison, the first light bulb. Here, I'll click on it and open the.
So it was Heinrich Geissler and Julius Plucker. discovered that they could produce light by removing almost all the air in a long glass tube and passing an electrical current through it. And that was in the 19th century.
1802, Humphrey Davy invented the first electric light.
There you go. So no, that was just like an aside that, like, when you mentioned it, I was just like, oh my God. Yeah. So anyways, but it like, oh my God. So like, I'm just all about, like, so frustrated with the schools, because like this is like how they like reprogram history. And so they're like reprogramming like society that speech is violence, silence is violence. We're going to make safe spaces where you can sit there and like echo chamber. In the meantime, we're going to reprogram you with a false history. Like, I learned that Edison invented the light bulb, but that's like, that's like saying Elon Musk invented the car because he came up with an electric car.
Right.
Elon Musk created the rocket because he has SpaceX.
Yeah. And the funny thing is Elon Musk didn't even make an electric car. The oil industry killed the electric car back in the 70s.
Yeah.
That three-wheeled badass looking beast that they had that was an electric car, and like every single one of those was collected by the company and destroyed.
Well, I mean, but the education system making our kids weak. I mean, they can't even put a red mark on the paper because it might hurt the kids' feelings. A red mark. Oh, let's switch it to purple or white or some other color. Green. That's kind of a neutral color. Green, maybe it won't hurt their feelings.
How about we just keep it red, because facts don't care about your feelings?
Or the participation awards, instead of the winner getting the award and the other kids, all right, try harder next time.
Right.
I hope you had some fun. That's what I teach my kids. Did you have fun? Good. Did you lose? That sucks, but at least you had some fun. Next time, try harder and we'll win.
Right. And now they got places where you can go and cry in college. For crying out loud. Come on.
Oh, come on. I think the U.S. military has crying rooms now.
It wouldn't surprise me. They didn't when I was in, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, did the
armory? This is the I'm a pansy bitch room.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Wait, Russian soldiers shooting at me. I got to go to my cry room for a few minutes because you hurt my feelings.
Right. No, actually, you want to go to the cry room here? It's right at the front line. It's right there. You will be Operation Human Shield.
What are the soldiers going to say when China attacks?
Extinguish the incendiaries before it actually hurts a real man.
Yeah. We need real leaders. We need General Patton back. If Patton was alive today, he would be one pissed off mother lover. I'm telling you.
Oh, jeez. He might be someone that the left would actually shoot.
Yeah, probably.
He got too far. Put him on the firing line.
He said some really, really mean stuff, and it wasn't from a tweet.
He slapped his soldier. Put him on the shooting line. Put him on the firing line.
Yeah, and then they're sissifying everything, man. Like, look at like with the Navy SEAL training, now they're like making it less dangerous because somebody died. It's like, these are the elite of the elite. These are the people that are going to be inserted behind, like, thousands of miles behind enemy lines. Yeah,
dude, these guys, those guys are fucking drowned on purpose and then brought back to life, or saved from drowning as part of their training. Come on. I bet you more than just one person has died trying to become a Navy SEAL.
Yeah. So, and then like trying to lower the standards so women and transgenders can be SEALs and Green Berets.
Nope. And like we said before, is we have no problem with women being SEALs or Green Berets, but don't lower the standards so they can be. They have to get through the same thing everybody else does, because it's preparing them for what they're going to have to go through when they go to war.
Yeah, there's no equity in the military.
Dude, like Ronda Rousey got exposed in her last couple MMA fights, but I wouldn't want to fight her. She'd whoop my ass.
Absolutely, yeah. But because she trained, you haven't. If you were training as hard as she was, you would probably whoop her ass.
Dude, I'd never get out of bed because all my joints would be toast.
You
I'm
go
too
through
old.
one training session, you're like, that's it, I'm done.
Well, if you
Can't
ate
move.
right and you stretched and did what you're supposed to do while you're
Not with
training,
his
your body
joints.
wouldn't be hurting like that.
Not with his joints.
Dude, my
The
body is
fact
a
of the
car.
matter is she was training long before she got old.
Yeah. So, but no, like even if she's getting older, she could still whip my ass. I acknowledge that. Some women are badass, and if they earn the right to be somewhere, they should be there. But we don't change the standards. Like,
I guarantee you, Ronda Rousey is not looking to fight a man in the octagon. I guarantee you, she's not looking for that fight.
Yeah. Well, do you think Ronda Rousey could take Fallon Fox?
That's a good question. I don't want to see it because Fallon Fox is a man.
Dude, I think Misha Tate would whoop Fallon Fox.
I don't know. I haven't been paying a whole lot of attention to.
Like, I wouldn't want to watch that fight. I wouldn't want to watch Fallon Fox punching Misha Tate, but it would be so sweet to see Misha Tate knock out Fallon Fox and then stand over and be like, "That's what you get for hitting a girl, dude."
Fuck transphobia. Like who has an irrational fear of transgenders? Like I'm not afraid of them.
No, nobody has a phobia of any of this stuff. Nobody's afraid of gay people. Nobody's afraid of trans people. Nobody's afraid of foreigners. Nobody's afraid of this. We're just open to reality and what's going on.
And nobody's denying their existence either. We know that trans people exist and live. And yes, they shouldn't.
1% intersex, and the rest of them are mentally ill or looking for attention.
Right. And no one's saying that they don't have a right to live or the right to do what they're doing. It's stupid, and we don't have to acknowledge them as females when they're males or males when they're females. Like this whole freaking pregnant man stuff is ridiculous. We've already talked at this at length at nauseum, but
I identify as a billionaire. Where's my money?
It's all
I'm more than happy to identify just
again.
as a millionaire and try to get the money that way. I mean, a few million would be fine. I don't need a billion, even though I'm not going to complain if someone gives me a billion, but
yeah,
don't be too greedy.
Elon Musk, that falls out of his pockets when he sends us.
Just follow Elon around. You might pick up a billion here or there.
Right.
But yeah, dude, like Elon Musk is such a trip because let's face it, this buying Twitter thing was a lark that he just went through with.
I don't know. I think it all has to do with his plans for populating Mars and stuff. It's just a system that thinks he plans to do with it. It was just if he got it, great. If not, he would just build his own.
Right. Well, I think he actually might make it into a money-making platform.
I mean, pretty much everything he has done has been things that he thinks he would need to populate Mars. I mean, from the Boring Company to the electric car to SpaceX to Starlink to, everything he's been doing. PayPal, even the pay system for, what's that, Rob?
Where he got rich to begin with, PayPal.
Yeah, that's what I said, PayPal.
Yeah, he took his payment service and merged it with PayPal, and then pushed PayPal, and then sold it off to what's her name at eBay.
And then he used every penny of that to get SpaceX up and going. It almost went bankrupt. One rocket away from going bankrupt.
Yeah, that's risking it all. Now, and see that's why rich people get to write off their losses because he risked everything,
every penny. Yeah. And
then it's funny that he didn't even found Tesla, but he's listed as a founder. He bought Tesla. You guys know that
he really made Tesla what it is. I mean, with his engineering.
Yeah, he did, but a founder, yet he's listed as the company existed for 10 years before he got there.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla would have gone under if it wasn't for Elon.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what he did was a great job of PR for him.
Yeah. And design and everything. I mean,
look, let's be honest, when he was growing up in South Africa, he wasn't down for safe spaces. he went out of his way to be outside of safe spaces
Yeah.
to help his friends who were being picked on and bullied. And we're talking
Yeah.
about a man with Asperger's. I mean, come on.
Yeah, under an apartheid government, you
Right.
know. Like, yeah, and that was like, I love they tried to make him racist because he grew up in an apartheid government. Oops. Turns out his parents were anti-apartheid,
Right.
against him.
Yeah.
And then he moved to Canada to go to college, and then the US.
Yeah, and now he's a U.S.
Yeah,
citizen.
he always wanted to get to the US and be a citizen, and he went to Canada to work on it.
So yeah, no safe space. There shouldn't be safe spaces anywhere, because safe spaces, like, they just dissify people. They just take away people's drive to do something productive in life. They take away people's ability to excel, and most importantly, they take away personal responsibility. I think that's the greatest evil that the left is perpetrating on our society, is taking away personal responsibility. And one of the most atrocious acts ever that happened was the Columbine shooting, and the way the news media covered that, and then they created safe spaces to take away personal responsibility.
Well, it's like Brad said, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt me. We need to
That
get
was
back
Rob
to
that
that.
said that. That was Rob. I got to give
So
Rob the credit
we,
for that.
we need to get back to that, and back to the point where it's a word. It's only as powerful as you let it. I'm a big guy, and if I let words hurt me, I'd sit at home and never leave the house.
Right.
But people say stuff, and I go, "Oh, good for your opinion, dumbass."
Yeah, that's what makes America great.
I'm like, move on. When I was loss prevention for Best Buy up in Anchorage. I grand opened the store up there, and then I took over loss prevention. And I was watching the door, and there was these two news characters, or radio characters, DJs online, and they made fun of me because I was a big guy at the door trying to claim that I could never stop anyone, even if I wanted to. Huh?
Was it Bob and Mark?
I think so, yeah. But somebody brought it up. I'm like, okay, good for them. Whatever. I don't give a shit. It's their opinion. But a lot of people today would have had to take some time off and go try to recover from the insult of these two radio jocks saying this on live radio. I'm just like, good for them. They're idiots.
Right. And you would have sued them. Nowadays you would have sued them for fat shaming you. Or
I'm like, I'm a big guy. Good for them.
Yeah.
Wow, you can notice things.
Really?
It made me laugh more than anything, because I thought they were idiots.
That's good, and that's what we need in society. People that aren't gonna fucking crawl up into a ball and cry and be like, "Oh, I need my
words are words. Move on."
We don't need someone to be like, "Oh, I need my pumpkin spice latte."
Shoot, I remember when that girl was trying to hit on you.
Geez, Rob.
And I told you, like, you didn't get mad. I said, you got your trench coat. Just walk up to her and be like, "Have you ever been with a fat man in an overcoat before?" I stole the line. You didn't cry about me calling you a fat man.
No, but still, that was so funny, because running the paint department, Rob working for me, and this woman who's probably 10 years, 12 years older than me starts talking. We're back by the paint poles, back behind the paint desk, and she starts talking about how she hasn't had a good pull around the house in a long time. She just went on and on. And Rob later goes, "Dude, she was hitting on you hard." I'm like, what? I figured she was hitting on you, Rob. Dude, she was staring right at you.
Crazy, while stroking this paint and talking about how she needed a man around the house. I'm like, bro, I'm like 100. Me.
I mean, I do have a big pole, but that's classic.
Oh boy.
Oh my! I think we have Brad's catchphrase. Classic.
Classic.
That's classic. Anyway,
I like that catchphrase from The Hangover. when they're all sitting there out at the pool eating their breakfast, and they're talking about how they got home that night or how they got back to the hotel, and then Zach Galifianakis is all classic driving drunk. He's all driving drunk, classic. Like, that's great, classic.
Crazy in real life too.
I like it.
So yeah, I mean, like the reality is, like, the whole safe space thing has to just go away, because it's not the real world, and like everything the kids go in their life go on in kids' lives needs to prepare them for real life, and there is no safe space in real life. Like, if you're one-on-one with somebody, if you got a boss, you're gonna have to deal with it one-on-one, and like you may win the like these people go in and like sue and stuff like that. You may win in the short term, but in the long term, because you're never going to grow. You're never going to grow as an individual. Striving through struggle is how you achieve. It's how you succeed. It's how you get ahead in life. And and I think particularly in our minority communities, the leftists, like, who like obviously think less of them because they don't think they can deal with their own struggles. They think they're not capable, so they basically try and make the world a safe space for the minority communities, and in fact they hurt them because they're not able to go through that struggle. And they make the argument like that if we don't do this, then it's racist. And yet you look at, like, they say that Black people can't succeed, yet one of the most successful groups in the country is African immigrants. Well, funny, I'm pretty sure they look pretty darn Black, and yet they're succeeding. The most successful group is Asians. They're succeeding. Like, so obviously it's not about white people. So it's about the struggle that they're allowed to achieve through, and allowing them to go through that struggle and leaving their personal responsibility on them. Like, nobody's held back from success because of the color of your skin. But when your rap sheet's a mile long at 19 years old, that's going to hold you back. Like, if you went to prison for embezzlement, I'm not going to hire you to work at my company. And that's personal responsibility. If you're convicted 4 times for randomly assaulting people because you're offended, I'm not going to hire you to work at my company so you can assault my employees. I'm liable. If you were out robbing stores, I'm not going to hire you at my company so you can steal from my business. If you're out dealing drugs, I'm not going to hire you at my business to turn my business into your drug front. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but if we put the personal responsibility back in it, like, if you do this, it's going to have permanent consequences. If you do this, like, you're going to get pushback in life. If we start teaching that personal responsibility, get rid of it.
Well, let's see, like, okay, so the minorities and their hard work, right? You go tell Emmitt Smith that he got there because of the color of his skin and not the fact that he was one of the best running backs in his field. You talk to Michael Irving. Just look at the NFL. There's hundreds of successful Black people in the NFL, right? And because they worked hard and trained hard. The NBA, same thing, right? Because they worked hard to get to where they are.
I love the story about Kobe Bryant. It was one of his former teammates that was talking about it on one of the sports podcasts. Like, he got to the gym and already there and already covered in sweat. He'd been working out. So they sit there and they practice, they play one-on-one, and then they do shoot arounds. And then the guy's getting ready. And he's like, hey man, how much longer are you going to go? He's like, until I can't go no more. And he's like, if I'm going to be the best, I have to put in more work than you.
Right.
That applies to sports. It applies to life.
Absolutely.
Like, look at Elon Musk, 100-hour work weeks and sleeping on the floor of the factory with Tesla's on collapsing. Look at Michael Jordan and his famed 12-hour days of shooting. Look at Kobe Bryant, like I mentioned. Look at freaking Russell Wilson and like the amount of time they get done with the practice, they get done with their film room, and then he pulls all of his receivers and his linemen in and they keep watching tape. You look at I know Russell Wilson because I'm a Seattle fan, so like I know how his work ethic was when he was there. I mean,
I'm sorry, Rob.
And
I'm sorry, Sea Chicken.
Hey, they finally won a Super Bowl.
Yes.
Yeah, and right now leading their division. Call it what you will, but they are leading their division.
They are. Got to give them that.
Hey, I'm a Jets fan, so I'm used to losing, but they're actually having a pretty good season so far.
Yeah, they are.
Hey, Brad, tomorrow we're going to try and help your team out by whooping the Eagles. So,
the Eagles are playing Pittsburgh, bro. I'm sorry, but I don't think the Eagles are going to lose that one. And we're actually playing a decent Chicago Bears team. So
we're playing the New York Giants. So we're going to try and knock them down. So you guys.
Oh, dude, you're going to get your ass banked against the Giants.
Dude, I don't know. Dude, like
the Giants have lost one game and it was to the Cowboys.
Yeah, they had a bad day.
I don't think the Giants have lost 2 games.
Yeah, they lost 2 games.
No, they lost. I'll prove it to you.
Okay. I think they're fine.
Let's see. The
Giants.
I don't really the Jets are 5-2.
Elon just tweeted, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral, which effectively means upsetting the far right and the far left equally.
The Giants are 6-1.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Yeah.
All right. Hopefully, what's his name up there? Balls out. I can't even remember the name of the quarterback.
That's funny. I can't either.
I just love how Geno went from my Jets.
Oh yeah, Geno
sucked, where he sucked.
Oh no,
and then went to the Seattle Sea Chickens, and now he's kicking butt.
Yeah. And it's funny. He's a lot like Russell Wilson. Early days, like towards the end, I think Seattle started hurting from and like trying to do it all, but a lot can be like placed on the offensive line. Break in Pete Carroll, get an offensive line up there. Anyway, like I don't know what that is. That like it's the one part of the team that Pete Carroll never addresses is the offensive line. Anyway, that's my frustration with Pete Carroll over his entire tenure. He never addresses the offensive line.
He never had to because Russell Wilson could move.
So
there's times when Russell Wilson should have been sacked and he just sprung up and didn't get sacked. And it's like, what do you got to do to get this man down?
But, yeah, spin tackles and then chuck a 70-yard bomb.
Your best offense is a great defense.
So,
the Legion of Boom.
Geno's been what's his name? Their running back is kind of breaking out. He had a 160-yard game. Like, yeah, it's nice. Like I mean, I still don't watch NFL, and I'm not going to until they completely like back off their woke positions. Yeah. But like, follow my team, and like, I just pull it off against the Giants, and that would help your boys out down there in Dallas.
I want to see them beat, dude. My number 1 team is the Cowboys. Number 2 is the Seahawks. Number 3 is Kansas City. So, and I've been keeping an eye on the Browns. I thought the Browns were going to do good, but nope, they suck.
Yeah, they always do.
So if I had to rank my teams, it would have to be the Seahawks, then the Rams. Like when they went back to the NFC West, like I kind of had to back off, like supporting the Rams. And then I think number 3 was actually at the time, like when they first started breaking out, I liked the Patriots, but then when they started cheating or getting caught cheating, like I backed off of them.
Yeah.
So like never really like came up with a third place. Now I just kind of, if my team's out of the running, I just kind of root for my division. because you know what? If we can't win the championship, I at least want to come from the division that had the champion. So, because then the champion had to go through us to get there.
I also like the Bills. I've liked the Bills the past couple of years.
Dude, I love the Bills. I mean, how do you go to five
wow.
straight, lose them all? Like, I mean,
Tom Brady is having a crappy year. Dude, I was looking at Thursday night they played the Ravens, and the next day I looked on Yahoo Sports, and when I went to bed, the score was 10-3 Tampa Bay. And when I woke up, the final was 10-3. I'm looking at it now, and that's not how it ended up. It ended up 22-27. The Ravens beat the Buccaneers.
wow.
Which means the Bucks they're not going anywhere this year.
Wow, really worth trashing your relationship, huh, Tom?
Yeah. So he's got two losing years now.
And I mean, at least he stayed with his ultimate weak Gronk, you know.
And Gronk's no longer there.
Oh, he's not. Oh, I
No,
thought Gronk.
he retired. He actually went through with his retirement this time.
Nice. Yeah, that's craziness.
You know, Tom Brady was originally supposed to go to the Raiders, but Gruden screwed that up. Because Dana White was trying to recruit Tom Brady to the Vegas Raiders, and the deal was almost done when Coach Gruden came in and screwed it all up.
Yeah, and Giselle helped push him to Tampa Bay, didn't she?
I don't know. I don't know about that part. It wouldn't surprise me.
Pushed on Tampa Bay. So anyway, that's funny. Now we're off the rails in sports.
Yeah.
Well, since if we're talking sports, then we have to give a shout out to Colin Kaepernick, who can lose his job and then suddenly he's an activist.
Right. And then he says that the NFL is like slavery and then begs to come back to the NFL. Okay. Fucking idiot.
Yeah. It's slavery. Please, master, put my chains back on.
Yeah, and he's Egyptian and he was raised by white people.
That guy. Anyway, yeah, that was actually the start. Since that season that they all started like taking a knee, that's when I stopped watching the NFL, and it wasn't about the protests. It was about this. Every company I worked for set conduct policies. Every company I ever worked for had restrictions on what you wear, say, because you're at work to work. He's at work to work.
Not to keep your feelings from getting hurt.
Yeah, and for him to for the argument to be made that he has a right to free expression, you don't have a right to free expression when you're at work. Free expression been fired him.
Dude, you know what? My thing is he had one really good year as a quarterback. Then the next year he came back and he ended up getting benched for Jimmy Garoppolo.
No, he got benched for Blaine Gabbert.
Oh yeah, and then they got Garoppolo, and then yeah, he just sucked. He wasn't good at what he was signed on for. And
in that Super Bowl run, he was gimmicky, and people couldn't figure out how to defend him. In the second year, figuring him out, and the gimmick didn't work. He wasn't that good of a quarterback. So they pulled him. He probably would have had an NFL career if he had switched to wide receiver or something, because the dude was fast and he had moves, but he was not a good quarterback. I'm just saying, what was that quarterback that converted to wide receiver? Price?
Well, Taysom Hill can do it all for the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, that dude, I'm surprised he's not. I mean, he should be getting paid money. That dude can quarterback. He can run. He can be a running back. He can be a wide receiver. He does it all, and he's good every time he gets the ball.
Yeah, there was a defender on one of the teams that like in practice was like chucking like 80-yard bombs, and they asked him why he doesn't like sign up for like trick plays. He's like, well, then they'd have to pay me more. And I forget who that was, but it was like hilarious. But yeah, it was actually a defender, had the best arm in the NFL, but he wasn't willing to throw any passes because like they'd have to pay him more.
Well, and that's like Odell Beckham Jr. He was famously known for his one-handed catches, right? But
Right.
every time someone threw the ball to him, he could only catch he would only go for the one-handed grabs. It's like, no, dude, get both of your hands up there and catch the stinking ball.
Yeah, he had tons of drops because he never tried to catch with both hands and cover the ball.
Right.
And like doing it, like his fumble ratio was insane wide receiver too.
Yeah.
So, anyways, but yeah, I mean the trick catches look great on highlight reels though.
Oh, yeah, they do. But I mean, when you only have 5 or 6 highlight reels and you're being thrown to 20 times, I mean,
Yeah,
I mean, eventually that's why he fizzled out after a while. Because like you said, his fumbles and incomplete catches, always because there was more highlights of him trying to go for one-handed catches than him actually trying to reach up and catch the ball with both hands, like a wide receiver should.
like Jerry Rice,
Yeah.
the ultimate beast.
The rocket.
Yeah, I challenge you to find more than like out of what 20 years of playing receiver, I dare you to find like more than 10 freaking videos of Rice making one-handed catches.
Right. And because he wanted the ball. He wanted the ball. There's like people that'll go up and make catches that they just shouldn't have been able to make, and it's with both hands. Like balls that should have been out of their reach, and they go up and they snatch it out of the air. Defenders doing the same thing. Yeah.
Fingertips. Yeah.
It's
So
like,
our rails are always off.
but the thing is they all worked hard to get there.
Yeah.
And they weren't worried about somebody going up and, telling them that they're worthless or.
No, actually, I guarantee you that every single one of these people that are like ultra successful in anything competitive in any competitive endeavor at some point was told that they sucked and they worked their ass off to prove they didn't.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. They weren't worried about that. They were like, oh, well, fuck you. I'm going to prove you wrong.
And then you look at people like Kaepernick, you look at people like Beckham, they get applauded for what looks good, but because nobody targets them and says, hey, dude, you're actually a shitty receiver, you're actually a shitty quarterback, they don't actually work on improving their craft because they have their safe space because of this. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So base like equation fits in there. If you just tell people that they're good and they're great, even though they're not, and you like celebrate minimal accomplishments or luck, it never like pushes them to strive to work hard to succeed.
Right. Well, let's get into closing this out. Brian, what do you think needs to change?
Well, just like we've been talking about, I think we need to get rid of the safe spaces. We need to get people to stop being so offended just because somebody uses a word they don't like. And just try to, I mean, we're growing wimps, honestly. We're growing weak people. And it's showing, as you can see what's going on all over the US and Europe. It's sad. It's weak people, weak children growing up to be weak adults.
100%.
Yep, good point. So what I think is, basically, that's the same thing. Brian pretty much hit the nail right on the head. We're raising wimps. We're teaching them that fat is healthy and beautiful and brave, and it's not. We need to raise people, to watch what they eat and how they eat, and to eat healthy, and the exercise is not your enemy. Carbs are not a bad thing, but you got to regulate your intake. A good workout, a good work ethic grow some damn thick skin, get a backbone. If you don't like what someone's saying about you, do something to change it. Don't just sit there and be like, oh, woe is me. Oh, I need to go cry in my safe space. Blah, blah, blah. If someone's picking on you, stand up for yourself. If you see someone picking on somebody else, stand up for them. But don't tell them that they're just perfect the way they are, because nobody's perfect the way they are, and there's always vast room for improvement. And so as soon as we do that and start building up our kids and ourselves to be strong emotionally and physically, then we won't have to worry about growing wimps. And we got to get this stupid wokeness out of our schools and teach our kids that it's okay to lose. And if you lose, it's because someone was better than you. Because in real life, that's how it's going to work out. And if we don't prepare them for it now, they won't be ready for it in the future. And then you're setting them up for failure. And we need to fix that. And it's completely doable, but we need to change the direction that the world and our schools are going in right now, so that we raise strong people.
And I think the safe spaces, like in addition to this, like making people weaker, I think it's just another example of hypocrisy of the left, because what they really mean is safe spaces for my ideas, no safe space for yours. And that's how they apply it across the world. They want to apply safe space to everybody on their side, but they want to attack, they want to attempt to assassinate, they want to, so like, really what they're about is like safe spaces to take away personal responsibility, and yet I'm gonna attack. So every person is supposed to be responsible for their own actions. And yeah, I sorry, bullies are really dealt with best when somebody gets tired of them and punches them in the mouth. Like, forget the safe space. Yeah, if and they had already started that participation trophy crap before Columbine, and I think that's actually what led to the safe spaces was the fact that we already like stopped telling people, yeah, somebody will get in their face. If the three losers that did that like went and punched the bully in the face in the middle of the lunchroom and humiliated him, we never would have gotten to that point. We wouldn't have had spaces. But if somebody like comes after you, you push back. Like right now, it's happening in like the conservative movement. We always were hands off, trying to get along, and now we're finally starting to push back. We started this show because we want to push back, because you know what? We're not giving you liberal safe spaces to ruin the country anymore.
Amen, brother.
So, anyways, thank you to all the revelers for listening. Sorry we went way off the rails, but that's why it's off the rails, because we always go off the rails. Make sure that you subscribe. Make sure you like turn on the notifications, give us likes, communicate it with us in the comments. Obviously, we're going to address you. We'll talk about it on the show. Send the email to us. It's otrrvl at Yahoo. Email us directly. Communicate with us. We'll respond to you by email. We'll respond to you on the show. If you want to come on the show, you're welcome to come on the show. If you have different ideas, if you have similar ideas, we want to have conversations. That's what it's all about. But make sure you subscribe so you know what we're doing. We don't know what's going to go on with our middle of the week show, because I'm going to be traveling. I don't know if we're going to record it early and post later, or if we're gonna, or if I'm just gonna miss the show. We'll see what we end up deciding. But you guys, make sure you subscribe. We try and have good conversations. If you guys even have ideas of things that you want us to talk about, mention it in the comments or shoot us a direct email. The website will be up soon, along with our killer gear. I can't wait to wear my I'm a Clump of Cells t-shirt, So can't wait. But we're going to have some great stuff for you guys. Just as much as I've had more time to work on this stuff while I'm here, and I'm getting all the Spotify content put on YouTube and Rumble. There are restrictions to what I can do because I'm not in the US. So when I get back and I manage to get some of this stuff cleaned up, there's always going to be more coming because we want to do more for you guys. But at the same time, we want to hear from you guys. So communicate with us, hit the likes, hit the shares, let people know about us. If nothing else, for idiots, hopefully laugh. So thanks for joining the show from halfway around the world for another week. You guys, take care. Brad, Brian, thanks as always for like conversations with me, so people hear it from regular guys in the world.
Che Guevara was a wimp. Have a good night.
There it is.